Everybody, and welcome to Unity of Lawrence online this morning. This is a live broadcast. My name is Kelley Hunt, and I'm coming to you from our studio here in Lawrence, Kansas. This morning I'm going to be doing a combination of things. I'm going to be giving a talk, doing a meditation at the end of that talk, but interspersed with that I'm also going to be doing some music. I'm a musician, that's what I do, and I feel that helps me express myself more fully. So welcome. I'm awfully glad you're here. And here we go. I'm going to start today with a song. Life is shaped by who we say we've come here to be. Create in me. The door is open if we are willing to walk consciously. Oh, create in my wildest dreams come true, and I see the same for you. The only moment we ever have is right now, you see, created. The door is open if we are willing to walk consciously. Oh, create in me. Anything is possible now. Everything our mind will allow. Anything is possible now. Everything our minds will allow. Oh, my wildest dreams come true, and I see the same for you. 'Cause life is shaped by who we say we've come here to be. Create in me. So this morning, the talk is titled Create with Spirit. When we remember that the divine is within each and every one of us, anything is possible. Conscious co-creation is truly something to celebrate. When we remember that the divine is within each and every one of us. We all have the divine creative spark within us, manifesting in surprising and inspiring ways. And everything is possible when we create with spirit. And when I say spirit, there are all kinds of words that many of us attribute to that entity or energy. It could be God, it could be spirit, it could be the divine, it could be whatever it is that we feel comfortable with. Some of those words are triggering. So I'm making the conscious decision to just interuse each of those words and know that they all mean the same energy, the source energy that is within all of us. Sometimes in our daily life, it's not so easy to feel that divine within us. It can be easier to feel separated from that when we're stressed, when we're tired, when we're grieving, when we're afraid, when we're anxious, and even when we're excited. Sometimes even though that energy is still there, it can feel as if it's not. So how can we identify that energy not only within ourselves, but within others? And sometimes it's easier to see it within others. Have you ever had an experience with someone or in a certain circumstance and you think, there it is, they're in the flow, they're on the hotline, they have something, and I can feel that. We can see it in others. It can show up as joy, as being in the flow, as positive energy. We can't exactly explain it, but we can feel it. It can show up as kindness, forgiveness, presence. I have a friend that when I speak to her, I never feel that she's distracted by anything other than being there with us. She is fully present. I have her attention, and she has mine. That feels like divine energy to me. That's how it shows up in others. Here are some examples of divine presence that I have seen and experienced in others. And it shows up in different ways. The divine manifests in many different ways in our world, as we all know. It can manifest in when we stand out in our yard, which is what happened to me last night. I did an outdoor Facebook Live concert here out on our driveway with 2 other musicians. And at the end of that concert, we looked up and we saw a rainbow. We saw a rainbow. And that for a moment, it almost took our breath away. We just went, we all felt it. So nature has a way of connecting us with the divine and helping us remember it's within us all the time. My friend Marcia was a dancer. That's how it manifested in her life. When she wanted to celebrate, when she did her art, when she did her work, her choreography, when she taught, she danced. Dance was her medium. You couldn't help but feel that divine, positive energy when she danced. It was her purpose here on earth, one of her many purposes. But it affected thousands and thousands of people when she taught, when she performed. Her body was her medium that she used to express the divine as she danced. I invited her one time to come to Unity of Lawrence many years ago, and we co-created a service where at one point she danced and expressed the music that I was playing. And it was so moving and emotional, and it helped connect us in a different way than just the music or just talking. That movement that she did was divine. And here's the amazing next step to the story about Marcia. She had a series of major strokes. And one would think, because she couldn't use her body in the way that she had done all of her life, that perhaps she would feel disconnected. Perhaps that light within her would dim. But the opposite happened. When it became clear that she could only use one side of her body, and that was it. She could speak. Eventually she could see and hear again, communicate. She was there. She began to spend her many hours during the day in a full care facility, not down, not depressed, but choreographing new pieces in her mind and using the part of her body that she could use to visualize physically what those things would look like. She was a tenured professor at the University of North Carolina in Greensboro. And she had taught there many years. Previous to that, she had taught at the University of Kansas here in Lawrence. She had many, many devoted students and faculty. She was well loved. And so they began to come and visit her, students, her co-workers, at least once a week, to read to her, to talk with her, to see how she was doing. And it quickly became apparent she was still doing her divine work by choreographing pieces. So her co-worker would draw up a chair to the side of her bed and say, "Describe it to me, Marcia. Tell me what it is." And Marcia would clearly, step by step, describe the piece that she was choreographing, using the side of her body that she could and making it clear that she was still expressing, divine was still expressing through her, as her, in her. And this was astonishing to see. And for many, many, many years, this continued to happen. She also chose to use meditation, and I mean Olympic meditation, not 5 minutes, 10 minutes, sometimes hours of meditation, where she could literally free herself from her body and meditate in a very directive and divine way and connect with the divine in a way that had no limits, that was freeing. She was still teaching in that way until the day that she crossed over and began to live in a different way, more fully. That's what the divine looks like in someone else. Here's another much more simple look at how the divine shows up for us. Much less dramatic. So this past week, there were many things that were challenging for our family. And I was feeling tired. I was feeling stressed. I was feeling worried. I was feeling fear. And boy, it's hard to feel connected when that's happening. It's possible, obviously. But here's something that helped me switch into a different mode. And it's just the tiniest, simplest thing. I was out running errands really early in the morning. I tend to, lately, since the beginning of March, I've begun to wake up very, very early in the morning, and that's not my MO. I've been a musician, a performing musician all my life, and night hours have been my comfort zone. But lately, last few months, I wake up early. So I look at that as an opportunity to get out of the house and go to the grocery store, one of the only places I go, or any other errand that I can get done before there are a lot of people out. I want to stay safe. And it felt right for me to do it. So the other morning, I woke up early. I was a little grumpy about it. But I thought, okay, here's my opportunity. I'm going to get up. I'm going to get dressed. I'm going to go out and get my errands done early and be back home before you know it. But I hadn't gotten enough sleep for several nights. And I had this kind of constant hum of stress that I really wasn't conscious of, but it was there. And I think maybe we've all been there in one way or the other, no matter what's happening. And so I got up, I got dressed, I got in my car, I ran some errands, I was on my way home, and I realized I hadn't eaten and I needed something to drink. And so I pulled into a restaurant where I knew I could get something to go. I got one of my favorite drinks. It's an all-natural juice drink that always makes me feel better when I have it. And I hadn't had it for months. And I thought, okay, I've got my mask on. I'm going to go in, order it to go, get out, and use my hand sanitizer and enjoy this drink. What I didn't realize was I was tense in my body. Many times when we feel tension, we feel it here in our shoulders, in these muscles back here. We could feel it in our jaw. Tension. But I wasn't conscious of it. So I went into the restaurant and I said, well, I'd like to order this drink to go, please. And there were very few people there. And the young server that came up had, even though I couldn't see all of his face because of his mask, I could see he smiled at me with his eyes. And he said, absolutely. And he went and got my drink. It was really quick. And I got out my money ready to pay him. And he said, you know, I got you. This is on the house. I said, what? So I wanted to give him a tip. And he said, nope. He handed me the drink. And he walked away. I was just, and that was a seemingly small thing. Oh, my gosh. I went out to my car and I cried. This kindness, generosity from a stranger about a drink. And what that did for me, it unlocked the tension. It unlocked some of the fear I'd been feeling. It unlocked emotion. I hadn't allowed myself to feel a little bit of kindness. I think it's no mistake. I think it's not just a coincidence. I believe it was the divine, through him, as him, showing up for me in a way that would help me release. And I really enjoyed that drink. It was great. In fact, I look forward to going back again. Our family friend Charlie Hill says, right now feels like we're in a fog. We can see far ahead, but we don't know what might be there. No clarity of vision. We long for the sunlight, the way through, the clear path. We long for that. Here's another example of the divine showing up in others. There's a woman in Gig Harbor, Washington. Her name is Michelle Brenner. And Michelle was furloughed from her job. So she used her stimulus check to buy ingredients to make lasagna for neighbors and friends. That was one of her joys. She loves to cook. She loves to make Italian food, homemade lasagna. And soon, strangers began asking for lasagna, and she found herself making pan after pan for single parents, for first responders, and people in need. Since starting 3 months ago, She has made 1,200 pans of lasagna, working 8 hours a day, 7 days a week. And here's what she says. Michelle says, "The world as we know it may be falling apart, but my two little hands are capable of making a difference." This is what she told the Washington Post. She said, "I can't change the world, but I can make lasagna." Now, if that's not divine energy, I don't know what is. So during this time of worldwide pandemic, it is vital that we remember we are not alone and that the divine source, God energy, is ever present. It's not easy to be separated physically from those we love. It's not easy to not know what's next. It's not easy to carry fear and grief. But life is shaped by who we say we've come here to be. We are the ones we've been waiting for. If not us, who? If not now, when? We are the light of the world because we have the light of the world within us. We're human beings, yes. It's not easy, true. But we're it. Aaron Sorkin, the wonderful screenwriter who wrote The West Wing and many other things, he says, "Don't ever forget that you're a citizen of this world, and there are things you can do to lift the human spirit. Things that are easy, things that are free, things you can do every day. Civility, respect, kindness, character." Civility, respect, kindness, character, co-creating with the divine. We can do this. And I would add, we must do this. So here are some things to try this week. Get rest. Tiredness and exhaustion don't serve us well. They make emotions more intense. Ever see a little kid fall on the floor and throw a tantrum? Well, I've seen a lot of tantrum throwing lately by adults. And I've done that in my own way. Foggy thinking. Those things can happen when we're physically tired. Get some rest. Cut some slack to those around us. If you're feeling these things, chances are they are too, and we don't know what is causing them to throw their own tantrum. Cut some slack. Slow down. Listen. Listen to someone. Instead of listening to a conversation where you're going through a list in your mind of how can I respond? That's not right. Here's my fact. Here's how I'm going to correct them. Listen to them. Many times under that brick of anger is grief. Just listen. Don't correct. If somebody asks your opinion and wants it and solicits it, fine. But do it with kindness. It's not easy to do these things. When we don't feel or act like ourselves, there's always something underneath that, always. We can feel disconnected. One time I was helping to set up for Brave Voice workshop and retreat that has gone on for 15 years out in the Flint Hills. This year we're going to be doing it virtually for the very first time. But I was there waiting for the participants to come. It was 2 hours before we were officially open for people to register, and I don't know why, but I was tired. I was cranky. I was feeling stressed. I wanted things to be just right when people showed up. And one of the participants came in early to get something to help facilitate them in a way, and I snapped at her. Somebody that I love and respect. And I immediately didn't feel great about it. In fact, I felt crankier. And she just said okay, and she left and was kind to me. And I just, But my friend Karen came up and said, I need to say something to you because I love you. And she gave me the information I needed to say, hey, that wasn't okay. And I knew she was right, and I just said, oh, you're so right. I went to my other friend, and I said, that's not me. I'm sorry. She said, that's all right. I knew that wasn't you. That's a friend. That's the divine. And so try these things this week, and just, if nothing else, please remember the divine is within you at all times. And it's your choice to allow it to manifest through you as you. And when you can't or you don't feel like it's there, see it in others. Be inspired by their example. And so as we get ready to go into meditation, I'm going to play a song that at Unity we usually use as we welcome our children into the sanctuary. But I've always thought this song was appropriate for all of us and a great reminder of who we really are. So I want you to get comfortable wherever you are. And let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the light. So let your light so shine. So let your light so shine. Let your light shine. Let your light shine. So if you're comfortable, close your eyes. And take another deep breath. And slowly let's relax our body from the top of our head. Relax the jaw. Take a big yawn. Let's yawn. And I want you to stretch and move any muscles that need to stretch and move. You don't need to hold still. If, like My friend Marcia, you need to move and express in that way, and that helps you relax. I invite you to do that. And let's feel that relaxation go through our bellies and our lower backs, and all down our legs and knees into our feet and our ankles. And we can feel grounded and feel that source energy coming up through the ground and filling us with a beautiful green healing light, that by the time it reaches up through our torso, up through our throat, up through our face, and the top of our head becomes golden light. And we are the light. And we begin to emanate that out to the world and out to others. And we visualize in our minds our beloveds. And we send that light directly to them. Visualize the people in our town, our country, our world, who are feeling disconnected from that light. And we send that directly to them. We remember who we really are. And we say to ourselves silently, I am the light. I am the light. I am the light. And as we gradually come back to our bodies, to the room or the environment that we're in, we feel a little more connected. And we begin to see that light all around us. As we open our eyes, we know I am the light of the world. We are the light of the world. Oh, we are the light. We are the light. Let your light so shine. Let your light so shine. Let your light so shine. Let your light shine. So I would like to encourage all who are watching to support Unity of Lawrence in any way that you can, financially, through your presence, through your prayers. Unity of Lawrence is near and dear to my heart and to many of us as well, and I'm so proud of the way that they are continuing to stay connected to their congregation, their community, and their world. So if you would like to and are able to donate financially, please go to unityoflawrence.org/giving. And that information is here on the Facebook page, and it's also on their website, unityoflawrence.org/giving. And that will help them continue to bring speakers and musicians and inspiration to our world, which I believe we deeply, deeply need. So I would like to end today with the song that ends many of the services of Unities worldwide. And boy, is it appropriate right now. It was my Aunt Toby's favorite song. It's one of mine too. On earth, and let it begin with me. Oh, let there be peace on earth, peace that was meant to be. Oh, God as creator, family all our way. Oh, let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now, right now. With every step I take, let this be my solemn vow. Oh, I want to take each moment and live each moment in peace. Eternally, oh, let there be peace on earth, peace on earth, and let it begin with me. The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches watches over us wherever we are. God is, and all is well. Thank you, my friends, for watching today. Thank you, Unity of Lawrence, for inviting me to be here. It's an honor. It's a pleasure. Love to you.